Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing some stretching. Stretching is super important to reduce the risk of injury and also for flexibility and mobility. And as we age, we want to be able to be mobile. We want to be able to get down on the floor with our kids and grandkids, and we want to be able to get up off the floor with our grandkids and kids. So, I love to stretch warm. I know there's some people who like to do dynamic stretching, but I always like to be warm when I stretch. So I will be doing my stretches post-workout, or I will warm up on a foam roller. And if you don't have one, great tool. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna start from the bottom, work our way up. And you wanna start first with with your heel back, and we're gonna be stretching the gastrocnemius and the soleus. So the two major muscles in the calves. So you want to make sure that that heel is pressed all the way into the floor, and also to get both of them, you're going to want to take a bend as well. And so you want to bend, and you can actually kind of work in this position to go from bend and straighten, bend and straighten. We're not going to do both sides for the sake of time. So there's a stretch there, and also if you have a step or a stair, that's a great way to stretch out your calves, is to drop one heel off of the edge of the step or the stair. And also don't forget to bend it while you're there as well. So most people, think about the calf and think about the gastrocnemius, and they don't remember the soleus. So you want to make sure you do that. And we're going to go ahead and go down to the floor. And if you don't have a TheraBand, most people have a robe. And so the belt of a robe is a great tool to help you in your stretching. So we're going to go down the floor, and you're going to place the belt or TheraBand somewhere in the middle. You're going to point your toes downward, and then you're going to pull. And it's a great way to have something to assist you in getting that stretch a little bit further along than just grabbing your leg. And now I always like to keep the opposite leg bent so that I can support my lower back, because a lot of people don't have the flexibility, and they'll have their legs straight and then their back will be popping up here, and that's a little bit more added stress on the back. So I like to keep my leg bent. And you want to pull till you get to the top. Now you can use your breath work, and this is what really helps, is to use your breath. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm at the top of my stretch, and I'm going to take a deep breath in. And on that exhale, using my breath, I'm going to be able to go a little bit further. Same thing, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to take a deep breath in. On that exhale, a little bit further. So that's a great way to use your breath to get a little bit deeper in the stretch. Now, most people will just do a straight up hamstring stretch without any internal or external rotation of the hip. So you have several hamstring muscles, not going to go through them today, but you can get them by changing your angle and externally rotating the hip. So then you point your toes out. And oh yeah, that's not one that you probably do very often. And so you will feel that. And so you want to stay in that externally rotated position and do the same thing with internal rotation. So you can, and it's not your foot, it's rotation from the hip. So turn your hip in and pull. Yeah, mama. And also too, you can work through this actively by bending and straightening. It's a great way to kind of loosen it up, bending and straightening. So if you're really stiff, you can kind of work through this bending and straightening, and then work that range of motion a little bit more. Okay, so there's your hamstring stretch. And we are going to move to a quad stretch with a little bit of hip as well. And we're going to stay on the floor. And I'll give you some of these standing, but we're going to come back up. We're going to come on our elbows, and we're going to drop one knee to the inside and another knee to the outside, and get back into the frame. And right here, you're going to feel a nice big stretch in the quadriceps. And you'll also feel a little bit in the hip. And if you just squeeze your glutes under a little bit while you're there, you're going to get that extra little bit of stretch that you might need. So squeezing the glutes under helps right there. And then you're going to do the same thing on other side. Now we're going to move to the adductors, or the inner thighs. So if you do not have a lot of flexibility here, then you will want to maybe bend one leg, straighten the other leg, and you can support yourself with your hands. And you're going to want to make your way forward here. You're going to start to feel that in the inner thigh. So if you'd like, and you have a little more flexibility, for the sake of time, I would recommend just coming here with your legs in the straddle position. You can always start here, and you want to make sure you're pulling your abdominals in tight to support the lower back, and move forward. And try not to round your back, stay nice and straight. And you're going to go a little bit wider. If you feel comfortable there, go a little bit wider, and then you're going to walk your hands out, keeping that back nice and straight. And try not to let your toes roll in. So you want to make sure that you keep your toes out and get that nice stretch there. All right, so there we go, inner thigh stretch. Now we're going to move to the glutes. And so there's several different glute stretches, but I'm just going to do the seated one today. And let's do this one laying down, where you cross your ankle over your knee. And this is a good position for anybody who has back problems. And you're going to pull that leg in. You're going to feel a nice big stretch there in the glutes. And so there you go. There's one for the glutes. And also for the glutes as well, you can do just like a seated stag here, where you put one leg in front and also fold over the front there. All right, and we're going to move to a little bit more. We did get a little bit of hip flexor in that quad stretch, but we're going to do another one, which is on your knees, one leg front, and then you're going to go deep into that hip there. Now, a lot of people, when they do this, tend to tilt their pelvis back. So in order to get a nice big stretch in that hip, you want to squeeze your tailbone under and then move forward deeper into the stretch. And you do want to have your leg out a little bit further, so you're not squishing your knee there. So you want to make sure that your leg is out far enough, and ideally you can have a 90-degree angle here and go deep and just hold that stretch. And also, if you want to go, another great thing to do while you're here is to take the arm of that leg that's extended and go out to the side, and you're going to get a lot more stretch here and in the psoas. So let's see, glutes, calves, hamstrings, quads, adductors, hip flexors, glutes. Yes, and that's probably about all we have time for today. I'll give you a couple of variations. If you have trouble, if you are not able to get up and off of the floor, here are my alternatives. So one great thing to do is, if you have a chair, most everybody has a chair or a bench, you can put your leg up over here, and you want to support either above the knee or below the knee. I would say start above the knee, not on the kneecap, and then bring your body forward, keeping a nice straight back. Now, same thing we did on the floor, we're going to externally rotate at the hip. Mama. Yeah, and so, and then come back, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to internally rotate, not just the foot, the hip, internally rotate and move the body forward. So there's a standing variation if you have trouble currently. And you know what? That's why you're here. We're getting better, right? So if you can't get up and off the floor, no worries. There's your modifications. So a chair or a step. And also for the quadriceps, same thing. You can grab a chair for balance, grab the top of your foot, bring those knees together, and same thing, you want to make sure you are squeezing your tailbone under and try to get those knees together, parallel, to get a nice good stretch here in the front of the hip. And also for the hip flexor, if you, like I said, if you have trouble on the floor, then you can do your hip flexor stretch right here. And you can kind of go, and a lot of people have done this in yoga. And your heel does come up off the floor, and you can squeeze your glutes under, and you're gonna feel a nice big stretch here. You can add a little bit more of a challenge, bring your arms up over your head. So you can get that stretch here, and then press it back as well. But if you're releasing your tailbone, you're not gonna feel this in the hip. So I would recommend squeezing your tailbone under and getting that stretch right in here. And for the glutes, seated stretch for the glutes is to cross the ankle over the knee and keep your body nice and straight, pulling your abdominals in, and fold over the leg. So there are your modifications. If you are not able to get up and off that floor quite yet, there you have it. I hope this was helpful for today.